It's time for getting started. It's nearing the end of August. I'm running out of room in my bullet journal, so it is time to start a new one. And that's what I'm going to do today. It's a weird time to start a new journal, but I've been trying a lot of new things this year, and I plan to try even more. At this stage, I'm planning to use this journal only through the end of the year, and we'll start fresh next year with the expectation of using one journal for about half the year. Now, I'm planning a future video about time and how we use it with our bullet journal, so look for that in the near future. But because I'm starting fresh, we have to set up the journal itself. I'm shooting this video in the style of a plan with me video, which means it's a bit longer than my normal videos of 4 or 5 minutes. And these are often partly tutorial and partly meditative. Now you'll see me at the beginning making notes and the end of my current bullet journal to prepare for the new one. Now, some of those notes involve things I've learned from this one, then I'll go through setting up my journal. So I guess after that, I'll meet you on the other side. Here we go. Let's get started. This is my current bullet journal, and I'm going to show you a basic piece. So I'm going to give myself a little bit of room because I have a couple more days that I want to use before I get started. But I want to give myself some space here. I've written out my plans. This is how I'm going to use my next journal. One of the things, the reason I am doing that is over the last several bullet journals, I've learned what kind of spreads I want to begin with. I'm very intentional about putting some of those things at the beginning. So I wanted to spell out exactly what I want. Now this time I'm using a Baron Fig notebook rather than the Leuchtturm bullet journal. So I have to put in my own page numbers, which takes a little bit of getting used to here. I'm doing a little bit of figuring out. So you can see I put it in the corner on the first page, but then decided I don't like it there, that I'd like it in the middle as it is in the bullet journal main version. I'm making the key and I'm just basing it on the standard bullet journal version so that I could have those things at my ready. The next, I'm going to do what is pretty common these days with bullet journalists is setting up the guides so I can know how many dots across these things are, up and down. And it takes a little bit figuring it out, doesn't it here? So now I have those numbers set up for me. So I want to be able to do what are thirds, what are halves, just in case. And then here is where I figure out what the midpoint is. And because this is an even number across, the midpoint is not on a dot in the Baron Fig notebook. So I'm having a little bit of trouble here trying to figure out, okay, all right, where does the number go if I'm putting it in the middle? The things you figure out as you're getting started. Perhaps you're more meticulous than I am. Perhaps those things come easily to you, but I like to experiment. So part of what I'm doing is going in with an outline, a basic plan, and my experience. So that's what I'll go with. And then sometimes I have to adjust. So So my index, I'm not going to fill in yet because I don't have the pages. So I'll do that at the end. Then after the index, I'm going to do my future log. So I'll speed it up here a little bit because I'm not going to do the full feature log since this is only the last 3 months of the year that I'll be using this notebook. So I'm setting up the last 3 months, then January. So that you'll see here in a second as I put it out. I'm not going to put September in my future log. That's something I heard somewhere and thought was brilliant, to, instead of using include the month that is the first month in your future log, use the next month. So I'm including, since we're starting it in September, I'm just using October, November, December, and then put January, because you have January stuff that you'll want to include. And then I have a nice big section for 2023. Here. Voila, plans. Clearly not totally filled, but I'm not going to waste my time doing that today. I have plenty of time to do that. Now, one of my practices each year is to come up with 3 words for the year. And so I have dedicated page for that in my planner so I can have it with me. And that's what I'm going to put in this planner. And you can appreciate that first one as we're doing this bullet journal. Today, plan, act, and celebrate. Those are my 3 words for 2022. Then I'm going to leave this page next to it blank, but that's going to be a goal page. So I want that there just in case. I had planned to do that, but if goal setting is not high on my list at the moment, I probably won't. Now here's a practice that I'll share in a later video of how to handle currently reading books. I had to go look because I hadn't updated my current page with what I'm working on. So I had to go take a break and look for them. But here I bullet my current reading. So, when I read them, I X them out and then they become done. Then I can migrate them to the next month. But I put all of my current reading in that space. Then the next page I'm putting for watching. I'm going to leave that blank so I can fill that out later. And I do 2-page spreads for both of those. Now, these are ones that I use, and they're ongoing just collections. So I have a health, and I have sleep apnea, so I use a CPAP, and I catalog in these places where that when I update things, so I can have them all in the same spot. And I also had a house and car, so I could have these sort of ongoing information pieces at the ready. Well, this was something I saw someone else do. Excuse my head here as I get it in the way. And they used these sort of lines on the side to create a sort of visual marker. So I wanted to try it out, and that's the cat. Appropriate for my meow ruler here. I was not as thrilled with that look. I'm gonna have to re-examine how to do that on another one. So I'm gonna leave the other 2 blank. Now what's gonna come next is the monthly spread. Now this is based off of Rachel, another bullet journal and bullet journalist and writer. and she edges her monthly page with washi tape, and I thought that was brilliant. So I tried it in my current bullet journal. I like it. Unfortunately, I didn't show it to you in the video, so I apologize. But here we snip off the ends so they're nice and round and fit in with the bullet journal book itself. But there you have this sort of marker. Now I have several colors that I picked up, and so I'm going to go, and each month we'll get a different color. And so that's my test in this bullet journal with this notebook to see if I like it. Next, I'm going to do a monthly spread. Now, I haven't used stamps before, so this is a new experience for me. So I'm going to get out the stamps, and I figure after a minute, I figure out I should get out all the ones I'm going to use. And I get those out, and I get started. Now here, I'm measuring, I'm actually using the ruler to measure space on the page, because what I'm going to do is I'm going to put a picture here. Again, this is an idea that I have borrowed from both the picture and the stamping of the month name. As you can see, I'm figuring something out as I'm going. And cleaning them off a little bit. There we go. Oh, nuts. I did the wrong page. It was supposed to be this page. How did I do that? Well, all right, let's see what happens. Okay. Let's do what we normally do here, and we set it up. So every day of the month, then I like to put lines for each week, and then I set my habit tracker along here. So I have to figuring out exactly which line to be on. Okay. And I have 3 letters, one for each of these 3 habits that I'll track. Put the key down here at the bottom. Now I would normally not use up that much space at the top, so I could have a little bit more space for a key at the bottom. That's an important thing in my aesthetic, but since I screwed up, I didn't want to ruin the whole page. I just rolled with it. Now I'm going to leave that space for the rapid logging for the month. So that's where stuff will go. So I'm going to migrate a couple of things that I won't be getting to in the next couple of days before September actually begins. So I'm just going to migrate them to this journal now, so I have something there. So what I'm going to do over here is I'm going to sketch out what it's actually going to look like when I do this. So I think it's about here. And I have to, okay, where is the center of this page? With a 4-inch width picture to figure that out. So here we go. I'll draw a line. I'll do this in pencil, so of course I can erase it later. Oh, that's a little too high. Slide it down a little bit. Now 4 inches across and 6 inches in this Baron Fig are not right on the dots, so I'm having to eyeball just a little bit more than you normally would. Now my lines aren't perfect, but it's about where it will be. And I'll put those in at a later date. As you can see, this ink from the stamper is smearing a little bit, and I'm not thrilled with that, but that's what we do. One of the other habits I've started this year has been logging my blog ideas. So now I'm going to try doing something a little bit different, because I was keeping track of each blog title, and that spread was working all right, but I want to do a little bit more planning rather than tracking with that. So I'm going to give myself space for that. Now this next set of pages is your normal, is going to be the week and what I'll put at the beginning of the week. I had to go get a calendar because I didn't have that at the ready. So I'm going to start it. I'm not sure if I'm going to use this journal at the beginning, for the last couple of days of August, or if I'm just going to sort of skip to September 4th. I might play it by ear over the next few days. But I figure for the purposes of this, oh, hey there. My kitty cat is interested in that cold brew. So I have to, and then I screwed up again. I don't want that there. Okay, I'm just going to cross it out and use a different line. Okay, cat, you're going to knock that over. I'm going to move it. So this is a spread I'm doing here, this keeping track. I blog daily, so this is a place on the front of the week where I just need to log that I blogged, so I don't really need it. Okay, now the cat is playing with the camera. He is being such a pest. Now, one of the other things that I'm trying to figure out here in my own workflow is keeping track of several projects. So this is a new idea I'm just floating today. Excuse the shaking. I haven't quite figured out the cat's doing it yet. I will. Oh, there we go. I'm going to take care of that. Hold on. Okay, he's down. So I do a weekly podcast and I do weekly videos. So I'm going to use this as a means of keeping track of projects completed. So when they're done and ready to go, they get crossed off. But I do need to work on the process of producing. When you're writing a blog post, you can write that in a day and post it the next day, for instance. And the workflow is pretty easy. But when you're doing videos or you're doing other sorts of projects, the workflow is different and goes over the course of days. And so I'm trying to figure that one out for me. Now that's a basic daily log for me, is to just put the date on it, and I've started doing a line because it's pretty, and then putting things underneath it. So here we go. This is the basic, going through and filling in the index. So I'll do this real fast. Now, one of the practices that I've developed is to maintain the index just in page order, but I'm trying to put all of the regular spreads here at the beginning, so I'm going to keep track of those. I know they're all at the beginning now, all the main ones that I'll be using regularly, so I know where they are. I'll
put them all here. Now, of course, as you go along, you'll want to put the collections and spreads where you need to put them. And I'm actually going to save an extra line here because you remember there was an extra page, so I'm going to save a line. And then I bump in my month. So when the beginning of the month is, I want it to stand out. So I can flip to the months and know where they are. But then I put the ongoing spreads back in order. So I will keep track of all of the blog pages in the traditional bullet journal format. All right, here we go. I'll put my name. Oh, shoot. I forgot to do the binding. Okay, here we go. And we'll speed through it so you don't have to watch the whole thing because that takes a while. But if you know the process, you essentially go a couple pages in the front, push down, a couple pages in the back, push down, back and forth from the back and front at the same time toward the middle until you run out of pages in the center, right? And then that gives your binding a chance to get used to it. All right, here we go, the flip through. So I'll get my name and stuff in here later. You don't need my telephone number and stuff, but I'll do that later. So then here's my key intentions that I'll keep track of. Here's the index, which may eventually get onto that second page, but may not. My future log for the next 3 months and the beginning of next year. 3 words on the left, goals on the right. My reading spread or collection, my watching collection. So that's movies and TV. Health stuff, house, car, the stuff I want to have nearby. And then my month. So that will look good later. I'll show that to you in a future video. You know, your monthly spread with log. My own personal space for blogging and planning. And then the beginning of the week, and then the daily rapid log on the right. And I just do that until the next week, and I do another intro to the week. So that's what we're doing today.
So, a few things I want to highlight about this first plan with me. Now, I'm trying out a new notebook. I use the Bullet Journal notebook by Leuchtturm. So this was my first time with Baron Fig's Confidant. I wanted to check it out. I like its feel and its look, but I miss having all of those things set up for me, especially the page numbers. Holy cats. And one of the other pieces that I like about the bullet journal is actually a little more margin. So the look on the page is really fresh. Oh, with this one, I did like it, but as you can see, there was some smudging with the ink that I wasn't prepared for. But that actually isn't the notebook's fault, it's mine. I was trying that stuff out for the first time. As 2, I'm a bullet journal minimalist, so I am most comfortable with using a pen and maybe a ruler, and that's it, right? So in this video, I did a couple of embellishments that I've picked up along the way, most particularly using that washi tape, the stamps, and saving room for a picture. Also note that I don't use elaborate spreads. I've tried, I don't really like them. And one of my challenges with using them is that they often go unused. So I actually prefer giving myself a space to fill in over the course of months in the way that makes sense in the moment. I think that feels good. Now, I'll go over how I use collections in a future video anyway. Point number 4 is I messed up my month. Did you see that? I forgot what page I prefer to start on. But that's something I'll fix later. So anyway, this is how I set up my bullet journal now. I hope you enjoyed seeing my process. Right? The whole thing was about an hour, a little over an hour, but that included setup, getting the stuff out that I forgot, moving the cat off the table, and experimenting on things I haven't actually tested before. Most months, the process of getting started and planning and doing that junk and migrating, that takes minutes. So this is by far the longest thing you do during in your bullet journal experience at any point, even especially if you're someone who doesn't do elaborate spreads. Please join me on this quest to make bullet journaling make more sense. Subscribe, hit the little bell if you're into notifications, and look in the notes for links. Thanks for watching, and have fun journaling.